Elon Musk was going to drop all of the Hunter Biden laptop files and the suppression of the story and all the emails that went on between the higher-ups at Twitter HQ over there. And man, that was a blast. I don't know if that's what he's planning on doing with Twitter in the future, but he hit up a journalist from the left, and I'm not familiar with this guy at all. I don't know if you know him. Habibi or...
Matt Taibbi?
I don't know how you
pronounce it. I don't know that I would say he's from the left.
I heard he was a left-leaning journalist. Is that not true?
I don't think so. I don't really know that much about him, but he doesn't seem very lefty.
Okay. Because I heard the reason Elon did it was he wants real independent journalists back again, and he was going to give them access to all the information. So what he did was he let this journalist drop it on a thread pretty much every 8 to 10 minutes for the course of maybe 2.5 hours, somewhere in there. And it felt like you were watching an interesting TV show. And then you got to read people's comments underneath it, and everybody was live tweeting under it. And I thought that was a very fascinating way to not only draw in new eyeballs to Twitter, but keep people engaged for a 2-hour stretch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Elon did it to maximize traffic on the website.
Of course.
But, you know, what's the old saying? If you're good at something, you should never do it for free. And I would say if you're able to capture people's attention, you should also not do it for free.
I agree, because there was a lot of people who were bitching that said, hey, bro, you could have just dropped this thread all at once. You know that, right? And then everybody else underneath it was like, well, obviously that's not why Elon's doing it. Sure. He wants to keep them on the platform for a good couple hours in a row. But following in it, because Jesse was recording Crime Corner, I think, with Joel and those guys. And so I was back here just kind of following along live. And it was fucking crazy, dude. Mm-hmm. It's nothing that I didn't already suspect, but it was cool that we actually had the confirmation of what was going on and then the emails to back it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit going on. Some of the notable takeaways are that Jack Dorsey was not involved in any of this. Mm-hmm. It seems like the whatever the content compliance team or whatever the fuck they call themselves, safety, whatever the fuck, were along with Yoel Roth and Agrawal were just kind of doing whatever the fuck they wanted, and Dorsey was not involved in it. Now, that's a good thing for his reputation, I suppose, in that regard, but not great that he was the CEO of the company he had just given up. But this is what I was talking about a year ago. Mm-hmm. This dude, when he finally left Twitter, looked like a browbeaten. He looked like he had tried to tame the shrew, and the shrew fucked his whole life up. You know what I mean? Just completely devoid of any kind of hope for tomorrow. That's what his face looked like to me when he left. And now, I think you're going to see more of this. It's almost like an indirect rehabilitation of his character, in my opinion. And I think what I said before, that Musk will eventually bring him back as CEO is probably true. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. That's one big takeaway. One of the other big ones was that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign was definitely in communication with Twitter, asking them to delete certain things, and Twitter immediately complied.
Yes.
Now, that's not a First Amendment violation because they were not in power at the time. They were not government officials. But the next releases that come out over the next couple of weeks are going to involve COVID and the censorship that happened there, and that will absolutely from my sources, this will absolutely detail how the Biden administration, after they took office, were using Twitter to censor people. Now, stow that in the back of your brain, and we'll just wait for that as the information comes out. But we do know with absolute certainty that the FBI during the Trump administration, leading up to the Trump administration, and during the Trump administration, was colluding with Twitter to censor shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was negative towards conservatives.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, the censor shit that conservatives were saying, 100%. No question about that, and that continues to this day. The FBI, well, not anymore now that Elon took over, but up until the point where Elon made it clear he was going to fucking buy Twitter, the FBI was routinely they basically had a hotline number, but it was email traffic.
Yes.
Where they were like, hey, we want this to be deleted.
Yeah.
And without any question, it would get deleted.
Now, Zuck was already on Rogan, where he said the
same
FBI
thing, yeah.
said the exact same thing. So what else is left besides that? You have Instagram and I guess TikTok?
Yeah. Well, you know what the interesting thing? Well, Instagram is also Facebook, right?
Oh, yeah, yes. So. But you're censoring, what, 3 of the 4 biggest platforms for social media and how everyone communicates on a daily basis.
Right.
And you're saying that's not rigging an election? Now, you and I have said this before on the show for ever. As far as the 2020 election is concerned, if you wanted to show that there was, extra votes or shipped in or whatever, do it in a court of law. However, which they were not able to do. The Republicans were not able to do that. However, there is other ways to rig an election by censoring people on social media, censoring stories on social media. And the point was made over the weekend that if it was Don Jr.'s laptop, that story would have exploded at the exact same time that it was released, and nothing would have ever been done.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, what I said then and what I continue to say now, because I've gotten some DMs about it, is that you don't have to hack voting machines if you can hack people's minds.
Right.
Right. That's a lot. One, it's easier, and 2, there's technically no paper trail. Even now with all these facts coming out, screenshots of emails and shit, people are still, like, the left right now is locked into this. Their defense against the Twitter file revelations are that, well, Biden wasn't in power yet, so it's technically not illegal. Okay, so your position is that it's technically not illegal.
Right.
And I'll say this, and this is what, I got a lot of DMs because of this thing I posted, but I said, we're living in wild times. Dems after 2016 truly believed, absent evidence, that Russia's media apparatus decided the election for Trump, right? So they took that playbook, which, by the way, never existed.
Yep.
It wasn't a thing. It was all made up. And they used it in 2020 to sway the election in their favor. That 100% that happened.
Yes.
The DNC was involved. The Biden campaign was involved. The FBI was involved. Mm-hmm. And then they call you an extremist for pointing it out, right? This is like the biggest criminal cover-up and gaslighting situation in the history of our country by a wide margin.
Easily.
Like, nothing's ever come close to something like this. They literally stole that election by warping people's minds and censoring shit. And the media was complicit as well, not just social media.
Oh, yeah, not just social media. The Post, New York Times, all that other shit.
But I got DMs like, weren't you the guy that said the election wasn't rigged? Like, rigged is not the right word.
Right.
You people, you guys are saying that
you're saying ballots.
Voting
right?
machines
Yes.
and extra ballots
Yep.
and all this stuff, and I'm telling you that wasn't necessary.
Psychological warfare is often more powerful than trying to collude to get extra ballots into something, right? That's pretty fucking difficult. You and I have voted the last 2 cycles here in Texas. It's hard, man. You got to take that thing into the goddamn thing and then punch in the number and do all the other shit and then take it back up. It would be pretty hard to do it with that many votes. Now, do I think it happened in some counties that don't have that shit, like Maricopa or something else? Probably. But the biggest advantage you could possibly have going into an election is controlling social media. That's how everyone communicates. So when I saw all this, it wasn't shocking. It just fucking sucks. Like, dude, I lost all my followers. I lost my fucking Facebook page and all this other shit. And you hear people over the years talking about shadow banning or any of that other shit. You've heard us talk about it with YouTube, hence why we're on fucking Patreon Live for video now. It's because they are doing this. You have the emails for it. If you look at the fucking emails that were released on Friday about the people who were banned from the platform, one of them was James Woods, the actor James Woods, who's got to be, what, fucking 80 years old right now?
I don't know. James Woods got banned because he was repeatedly posting that picture of Hunter Biden with his dick out. That's why he got banned.
But you can show nude, like there's porn stars that we follow on Drinking Bros who've been on the show
for sure,
who are showing graphic sex scenes all fucking day long
of themselves. Right?
So
that's different when I think it's considered revenge porn, which was part of Twitter's policy that you couldn't do that.
Okay.
So that's why you got banned. But the larger message was that pay attention to the laptop. So now this is another part of the left's current defense. All the stuff that all the people that you're talking about being banned because they only picked a select few were banned because they were sharing this stuff. Okay, fine. But people who are sharing the New York Post story, the link, were getting banned. If you tried to DM it to another person, you got banned on Twitter.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So this is not. I thought the way they released this wasn't great. I think Tybee kind of fucked it up, to be honest, because this is.
Well, it's a first time out. Like I'll give him a shot at that. Like it's his first time out doing something like this. It's the first time I've ever seen anybody do something like this. So I'll give him a pass on that. But as far as the information that was out there, it was pretty fucking powerful where you sit there and you're like, holy shit, there's no way our government's actually doing this, but they are.
Right.
And they have actually probably done it for years. I mean, even I'll go back to that JFK file shit that was released under Trump when our own government was trying to plant bombs in Florida to make it look like it was Cubans who were coming over here to cause chaos and all that shit. If you would have told me that our own government was doing shit like that on American soil, I would have told you were crazy. If you would have told me our own government is doing shit like this, like censoring its citizens via social media platforms, I don't know that I would have bought into that unless it happens to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But now that you have the proof, what happens? Does this immediately go to like a Senate hearing when the Republicans take the House in January?
Well, yeah, by then. But a lot more will happen between now and then.
What's the next thing out? Because he said that there was going to be more.
Yep.
I just don't know what the more is in that statement.
My understanding is that the next releases are going to be about COVID.
Okay.
And starting in January of 2021.
Okay.
Yep.
And as far as the censorship of it and what the government wanted to suppress?
About the requests from people in government to Twitter. And I assume, look, once this information comes out, once Twitter publishes what the FBI was asking them to do, then you're going to hear more from Zuckerberg would be my guess, because he's going to try to cover his ass as well.
Okay.